Well, the people have spoken, and Donald J. Trump is going to be the 47th president of the United States. And love him or hate him, this is going to be a completely different set of economic policies and opportunities than the previous 4 years. And immediately after his election, the S&P 500 skyrocketed to an all-time high of 6,000, and the 10 wealthiest people in the United States added $64 billion to their net worth. I'm Terrell Higgins, your real estate and personal finance guide. And during Trump's first presidency, I was able to 4x my net worth. And if that sounds like something you want to do during this next presidency, stick around for the rest of this video because we're going to be breaking down all of Trump's economic policies he proposed on the campaign trail, which ones are likely to get passed through, and how you can capitalize to go get yourself paid. Let's get into it. Let's start with a disclaimer. Nothing in this video is financial advice, and I don't have a crystal ball to tell you what the future entails. And literally anyone who tells you they can tell you the future, you should probably just run the other way.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
If you look at the analysis from 538, presidents try and get pushed through about 2/3 of the agenda that they propose on the campaign trail. And with Republican majority in the House, Senate, and Supreme Court, there's a very strong chance that 70% of the things Trump proposed, he will actually get pushed through. So let's start breaking down what he actually promised.
The fifth pillar of my plan is to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. They are massive tax cuts, biggest ever, permanent. And to cut taxes even more.
So first order of business is going to be renewing the tax policies from his first administration. And none of those tax cuts are actually accounted for in the budget past 2025. So he's going to try and make those permanent. And then there's additional tax cuts on top of that. And all of these things are unlikely to all get passed just based on reconciliation rules and budgeting requirements for the federal government. But I don't intend to kill you with tax jargon. I'm just going to quickly go through what he's proposing and what it does and what I think is likely to get pushed through. So he's going to be extending the standard deduction. So he almost doubled the standard deduction for households during his first presidency, and he's going to try and make that permanent. The other thing he did is a 20% qualified business income reduction. So right off the top, any business income that you generate, you can reduce that income by 20% and pay less taxes. So Trump is going to reintroduce 100% bonus depreciation. So originally, when it first rolled out, you could take 100% of the value for real estate, equipment, machinery, vehicles, jets in the first year of acquiring those things to help your business. And it's been slowly phasing out since it was initially introduced, but he is going to re-up it at its 100% in the first year when it was initially proposed. He's going to extend the like-for-like exchange. It's called a 1031 exchange, which allows you to swap investment properties of one like type to another like type without paying any capital gains tax. He's also going to extend the work opportunity credit, which gives businesses a credit between $1,000 and $9,600 per employee who are veterans or other qualifying groups every single year. So those are all the old tax policies Trump proposed. So what were the new tax policies that Trump is proposing? So he would like to lower the long-term capital gains tax from a maximum of 20% to a maximum of 15%. He also wants to reduce the corporate tax rate. So right now it's set at 21%. And he wants to lower it to 15% for businesses that do business in the United States and 20% overall for all businesses. And then some of the more interesting things he proposed is to eliminate any taxes on Social Security, no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime. Now, all those new taxes are definitely not going to go through, just based on the reconciliation rules. It'll be interesting to see which ones they pick and choose to actually fund, but I would guess that the no taxes on Social Security will be the one that doesn't actually make it through the House and Senate and get fully approved. So to pay for all these tax cuts, the money has to come from somewhere. And Trump is proposing a tariff, which is a tax on all the goods that are coming into the United States. He wants a 10 to 20% standard tariff, and on goods that are coming in from China, he wants a 60% tariff. That'll be the highest tariffs we've ever imposed since the Great Depression. And it's been a very, very long time since the economy has been held together using tariffs. A lot of the opponents to these tariffs think that it could reduce competition, drive prices higher, and actually spike inflation and potentially cause a trade war.
打贸易战的结果只能是两败俱伤。
None of that stuff is good news, so I'd be very surprised if Trump is able to implement the tariffs the way he proposed them.
To stop this onslaught and lower prices, I'm pledging today that in my second term, we will eliminate a minimum of 10 old regulations for every one new regulation.
So Trump actually wants to deregulate the financial services industry. So he wants to lower the amount of money that they have to keep on hand. He wants to eliminate the requirement for living wills and all the contingency plans for bankruptcy and financial stress and the stress tests that these institutions had to undergo. And during Trump's first presidency, he also deregulated the financial services industry, and it was a major boom to that sector. The banking sector surged almost 30% in the first year of his first presidency, and it actually outperformed the S&P 500 overall. Trump also wants to deregulate cryptocurrency. And he doesn't just want to deregulate it, he is very pro-crypto.
Bitcoin and crypto will grow our economy, cement American financial dominance, and strengthen our entire country long into the future.
He has gone on record saying that he wants to create a national Bitcoin reserve for the country, and that he wants to make the United States the cryptocurrency capital of the world. And the crypto super PAC, Fair Shake, actually poured $169 million into this previous election cycle to get 253 pro-crypto representatives elected in the House and 16 senators elected in the Senate. And Coinbase has gone on record to say that this is the most pro-crypto Congress that we've ever had in history. So let's not forget about Trump's buddy, Elon Musk. So Trump has selected Elon to be the Secretary of Cost Cutting, and Elon is going to be leading a brand new department, which Elon is calling the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, which is a nod to his crypto coin, Dogecoin. And their goal is to cut excess government spending. When Elon Musk took over Twitter, they had about 7,500 employees.
What percentage of your staff did you fire at Twitter? One of the great business stories of the year.
I think we're about 20% of the original size.
So 80% left.
Yes.
So
I mean, a lot of people voluntarily.
sure, but it's 80% are gone from the day you took
That's
over.
correct. Yes.
So how do you run the company with only 20% of the staff?
It turns out you don't need that many people to run Twitter.
And if Elon does a similar thing to the government, he thinks he can cut almost $2 trillion out of the federal budget. Elon Musk is not going to stop there. He wants to help roll back some of the antitrust legislation that the Biden administration has introduced over the last 4 years. So the FTC chair, Lina Khan, and the DOJ's antitrust chief would both be fired. Those two agencies actually set a record for challenging mergers of companies during Biden's administration. And Goldman Sachs actually projects that there'll be a 20% spike in mergers and acquisitions during Trump's next presidency. So these were the policies that Trump proposed. How do we turn that into actual money in your pocket? So the no tax on tips, you could consider doing a side gig where you get compensated mostly in tips. So maybe this is Uber driving, DoorDash, or other delivery services, or picking up a side gig as a waiter or waitress. And then for the no tax on overtime, you could consider just picking up a few extra overtime shifts on your primary job. And then no taxes on Social Security. If you're drawing Social Security, you don't have to do anything different. And the extension of the larger standard deduction, you really have to take no actions whatsoever. But all the other policies, to take advantage of them, you're going to have to invest some money. So the most guaranteed investment over the next 4 years is the lower corporate tax rate. There's a bunch of people who committed millions and millions of dollars to Trump's campaign expecting this corporate tax rate to go through. And this will help all the companies in the United States. So the best way to play this is just to buy the index. Just buy the broad market. And you could buy into the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, the Russell 1000, whatever you like. And some of the funds to do that would be VOO, VGT, or IWB. And if you wanted to kick your returns up a notch, you could buy leverage versions of these index funds. So a leverage version of an index fund will give you 2 or 3 times what the underlying index does. So if it goes up 1%, if it's a 2x leverage, it'll go up 2%. And if it's 3x leverage, it'll go up 3%. But if it can go up 2%, it can also go down 2% or 3%. And these investments are not suitable for the faint of heart or the skittish, but some options would be UPRO or TQQQ. So just give you an idea of what these indexes did during Trump's last presidency, the S&P 500 was up 67% during Trump's previous presidency, and the NASDAQ 100 was up 126%. Damn! The next surefire way to make money during Trump's presidency is real estate. Trump has always been a real estate investor, and this is how he made his billions of dollars. So with the reintroduction of 100% bonus depreciation, extending the 1031 like-for-like exchange, and trying to lower the cost of lending money by deregulating financial services, it's going to make housing more affordable. It's going to drive up demand for real estate. And it's going to create an opportunity where you can generate a massive amount of money investing in real estate. And if you're getting some value out of my video today, please like and subscribe. Turn that notification bell on so you can get my future videos and I can share this message with more and more people. Which brings me to my next point. Owning a business during the next 4 years is going to be huge. If you look at that 20% qualified business income reduction, if you have a business that's generating $100,000 a year, you're immediately reducing that income to $80,000. And then if you're married, you can take that larger standard tax deduction of $30,000, which reduces your taxable income to $50,000. And if you look at the tax brackets, that makes your tax rate 12%. You're going to be able to save a ton of money on your taxes by being a business and operating a business. And I was actually able to purchase a van using that bonus depreciation clause and deduct most of the value of that van in the first year. And it saved me a ton of money on my personal taxes. But that bonus depreciation doesn't just help with vehicles. If you're a dentist, you could buy expensive x-ray machinery. If you do construction, you can buy expensive equipment. If you're a truck driver, you could buy a truck. That bonus depreciation makes it very attractive to start and operate a business. So those are all the surefire ways to make money. So let's get to the more risky, more speculative ways to make money here. So there were a bunch of companies waiting on mergers during the Biden administration. Capital One and Discovery wanted to merge. Kroger and Albertsons wanted to merge. Spirit and Frontier wanted to merge. But there are a bunch of other companies that were trying to merge during the Biden administration and they couldn't. And buying into some of these companies could lead to a big boom to those companies' stock value. But it comes with high risk. So when a company wants to merge, it usually means that they're distressed. And Spirit actually ended up filing for bankruptcy before they could actually wait out the rollback of all these antitrust rules. So this is a high risk, high reward strategy, and not one that I would personally recommend. So mergers and acquisitions is one of the main exit strategies for venture capital. So this will actually open up the venture capital market to more liquidity and make venture capital a more exciting investment during the next 4 years. But you have to be an accredited investor to invest in venture capital. And I actually have an entire video on what investments become available to you if you're an accredited investor and what that actually means.
Bitcoin and crypto will skyrocket like never before, even beyond your expectations.
The next high risk, high reward play would be buying into crypto. And you may have seen it in the news, but Bitcoin is hovering right around $100,000 per Bitcoin. And a lot of people are projecting it to keep running well past the $100,000 mark. And with the wide-scale adoption of cryptocurrencies as a form of payment and the access to Bitcoin ETFs and Bitcoin funds, I think it's a pretty safe bet to assume Bitcoin is not going anywhere, and it's very likely to keep growing across Trump's administration. 3 cryptos I would keep an eye on during this next administration would be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Doge, because Dogecoin is the one that is getting backed by Elon Musk. But crypto overall is the wild, wild west. You have to be very careful if you're buying the coins directly. And Bitcoin is one of the few that you can buy indirectly via ETFs and funds.
Second, to further defeat inflation, my plan will terminate the Green New Deal, which I call the Green New Scam. Greatest scam in history, probably.
So another deregulation play is banking on the elimination of the Green New Deal. I personally don't think it's likely that the Green New Deal goes away, because if you look at where the money is actually going to for that Green New Deal, it is a lot of the Republican base, or it's in swing states that actually helped sway this previous election to Republicans. So I don't think removing that funding will help their chances in the next election cycle, and I don't think it's likely that that funding actually gets completely removed. So for the deregulation of the banking and financial sector, you could buy into indexes that trade those companies. So BKX and KRX are indexes that track the financial sector. And you could buy the ETS FAS, KBWB, or KBWR to try and make a play specifically on the financial sector. But the deregulation of lending and more liquidity in our financial markets will help all the companies in the US stock market. So once again, you could just buy the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100 and make a broad market play, which is guaranteed money. So another bet that's interesting here is just betting on Elon Musk. Elon has a ton of companies: Tesla, Twitter, Starlink, SpaceX, The Boring Company, Neuralink. If you buy into this bundle of companies, when he's positioned to deregulate the government, he will be able to deregulate the things that are blocking his companies. So the FAA has been fining SpaceX. He just backs down on the FAA. The National Highway and Transportation Safety Administration has been blocking him rolling out autonomous driving nationwide with Tesla, so he might start deregulating that industry. So unfortunately, the only companies Elon has that are publicly traded are Tesla. So if you wanted to buy into his other companies, you would have to be an accredited investor. And you would have to go on to websites like Hive, EquityZen, or AngelList to buy them on these secondary markets. So what about the implementation of tariffs? So using tariffs, it should be a boon to US-based companies and manufacturing. So steel and aluminum production, car manufacturing, electronics and appliance manufacturing. If you buy into the right set of companies, you can actually get outsized returns from those companies. But it will be hard to pick out which companies will actually outperform. So your best bet is to buy the index. If you get nothing else out of this video today, you should buy the index. So those are some of the ideas I've come up with for capitalizing on the economy of the next 4 years. And I'd love to hear what you guys are considering investing in to capitalize on this new Trump economy. And most of these ideas will underperform just buying the S&P 500 or NASDAQ 100. And this is a lesson I had to learn the hard way from trading the markets. And if you're curious what other lessons I learned from trading the stock market, I did an entire video on that topic. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time. You know, like the Trump dance.